Hi Delvers, in this lesson we would continue our string functions that we started last week. Last week I told you about the left, the right, the trim, the lower, the upper, and the length function. In this particular lesson, we'll focus a bit more on what is called a substring. Now a substring works very similarly with the left and the right function, but the difference here is the substring allows us to choose where we intend to start from and the number of characters we want to return. Let's just have a quick recap on what we did last week. Now, we said select name, right? We said select name and we did the left, right? So I'm just going to put in left, select name, left, and I will choose name. That's what I want. That's what I'm selecting from, name, and I want 3 characters. Now, automatically, I'm just going to pull this up. Now, automatically, SQL starts from the left. Obviously, the father's on the left, and it picks 3 characters, basically. However, for substring, you can specify exactly where you want to start from. Say, for example, I want to start from position 2 on this. So I can put a substring. I can put a substring there, right? Now, what's the first thing that goes into this argument? Again, the colon we are filtering from, which is name. That's number 1. The number 2 would be what position do I want to start trimming from, or what position do I want to start extracting from. So I want to start extracting from position 2. Then how many characters do I want to get out? I want to get out 3 characters. So if I load that now, so you can see that's the name, Kabul. Left, in left, I can't specify exactly where I want to start trimming from because I don't know. Left doesn't give me such room to specify. However, substring gives me such room. So I can specify the position and I can specify the number of characters I want to pull out from the name. And that's where the difference comes. Now, don't forget, let's try this on the right. So, right, and I want the same thing. So, but this time, I know right will obviously bring in 3 characters, but I want to start from position 3. Or, let me leave the right for now, and let's load that up. So, that starts from position 3, and it brings up the 3. But now string, substring, the argument is still the same because I've not changed anything. Now say for example I change that to 3 and I want 3 characters. Now the first one will definitely be the same. Why? Because it's 5 characters at the start. So me saying I want the substring to start from position 3 and I want 3 characters will be the exact same thing for the right for that particular name, because it's only 5 characters. Now the same thing we'll have for this, because it's also 5 characters. The same thing we'll have for, okay, those are the 2 5 characters that we have. So basically that's substring. So substring, in my opinion, I hardly use left and right with my experience working in this industry. I use more of the substring because it allows me to pass in more arguments into the query and helps me get the result better. I'm just so used to working with substring. Another function, quickly, is what is called the replace. And as the name sounds, you are just replacing something for another. So say for example, I'm just going to put in replace. Say for example, and obviously you have to specify again, name, right? Name. And say for example, anywhere there is A, right? Anywhere there is A in the world, say for example, I want to replace it with Z. So I can just put in there and say name, which is the I'll specify the colon. So I'm saying anywhere there's an A, kindly replace with a Z. Anywhere there's an A, replace with a Z. If I reload that now, can you see now? Now this is looking so weird. But yeah, that's the idea. The idea of replace is so simple. It just helps you change. It helps you change a particular character in the word initially. That's the idea of replace. Now, what I've done here is I have just placed in an empty string. So instead of putting replace A with a Z, I've said replace A with nothing. And you can see it's just removed it altogether from the names. So that's the idea of replace, basically. Now, so that's that with replace. Another one that we have is concat. Concat is very, very important. Now, concat basically is to combine multiple strings together. Now, say for example, okay, let's just do it. Let's just do concat, and I think that will be all for the string function. So say for example, let me just put that back, and I'll call that table together Z, capital Z. So we have the name and we have the Z. So say for example, okay, let me add one more argument here, just so it makes some sense. So I've used replace. Say for example, I want to what should we do? Let's try substring. To be fair, I think I'm just going to use substring for both. Just going to use substring for the two that I needed to do. Just going to copy that. I'm going to paste it. I'll remove all of this together. Just going to do that and leave that. So, say for example, on the substring, I want the name, right, as usual. Now, what argument will I pass in there? So I want the name. I want to start from position 1, and I want 2 characters, right? Now, and also from the same name, I want to start from another position 3, and I also want 2 characters. I'm going to name these A. I'm going to name these A, and I'll name these B. Now let's load that first. So that's what we have. And say for example, now I just want to combine them together. Now let's make this make sense. Let's make this make sense a bit more. All right, so I'm just going to put 10. So it loads up every single character that is left. Now, so I've just divided the name into 2. So where does concat come in? Concat comes in when I want to merge 2, as I said earlier, multiple strings together. So I've divided into A and B. For example, now I want to combine them together. Then that's where concat comes in. It helps us merge multiple strings together. So say now I want to concat these together. That means I want to combine these and these together. You know what we're going to get, definitely? We're going to get the name back. So I'm just going to put that concat. Just going to say concat, right? Just going to put this here so it makes some sense. So concat, and what are we trying to combine? I want to combine that substring, right? And we want to combine that substring. Obviously, you can write this better, but yeah, I want to combine that substring and that substring, and I want to name it combi. That's the name I want. So if I load that up now, you can see now we have name, we have A, we have B, and we have combi, which is a combination of A and B, which would be the exact same thing as what we have here. So that's how to use concat. Concat is very, very useful. So for example, another use case for concat is, say for example, you are trying to generate a distinct tag for someone, and say for example they have the same first name but they don't have the same last name, or they have the same first name, last name, but not the same date of birth. So there's a way you can concat everything together so that can have like a unique ID. So if you need to search for that person, you can search using that combination together, what you've concocted together, and you can use that to search for the patient you're looking for. So that's the idea of concatenation. It's very, very useful. So in our next lesson, we'll talk about unions and joins in SQL.